I'm going to be working a stoichiometry level 2 question where we are converting from grams of one substance to moles of another substance. We already have our balanced chemical equation, so our question says, how many moles of O2 react with C3H8 to produce 740 grams of CO2? I want to start by writing my given, which is 740 grams of CO2, above my CO2 in my balanced chemical equation. Then I want to write my unknown, which is how many moles of O2, as X moles above my O2 in my balanced chemical equation. Now, before I can set up my proportion to solve for my missing value, I have to make sure my units match on the top and bottom of my proportion. In my balanced equation, the 5 in front of the O2 represents the number of moles from the balanced chemical equation. So under my 5O2, I'm going to write 5 moles, so that we have moles on the top and the bottom for that substance. For my CO2, I have 740 grams over my CO2. So I need to determine how many grams are in 3 moles of CO2. And I do that by calculating the molar mass of my 3 moles of CO2. So I write down 3 CO2. I have carbon and oxygen in my substance. So, looking at my 3 moles of CO2, I have 3 carbon. I multiply that by the mass of carbon, which rounded to 2 decimal places is 12.01. To multiply across 3 times 12.01, that gives us 36.03. For my oxygen, I have 3 times 2 oxygen, which gives me 6, times the mass of oxygen, which is 16.00. Multiplying that across, 6 times 16 gives me 96.00. Then I add those two numbers up, and it gives me 132.03 grams. That is the amount of grams in 3 moles of CO2. So I take that value, and that's what goes underneath my 3 moles of CO2, 132.03 grams. So now I have all the numbers needed to set up my proportion. So X moles over 5 moles equals 740 grams over 132.03 grams. So at this point, I cross-multiply and solve for X. Multiplying this way, I get 132.03X equal to 5 times 740. When you multiply 5 times 740, you get 3700. So to solve for X, I divide both sides by 132.03. And that comes out to make X equal to 28.0239. Now, to check how to round my answer, I need to check how many significant figures I need for my answer. If I go back to the original number in the problem, 740 has 2 significant figures. That 0 is not significant because there is no decimal in the number. So I want my answer to have 2 significant figures. 1, 2. I check this 0. That 0 does not round up to 8. So my answer is just 28. That has 2 significant figures. And I have to label it with units. So I go back to my original question, and it asks for how many moles of O2. So it's 28 moles of O2. And that is my final answer for this question.